Leslie Phillips was an English actor, voiceover artist, and author who rose to prominence in the 50s by playing slick, upper-class comic roles. He appeared in 3 of the early, immensely popular Carry On films and was frequently associated with his character Jack Bell's signature catchphrases, He-llo, and Ding Dong, among others. The comic actor appeared in more than 200 films, television shows, and radio series throughout his 8-decade career. In addition to his work in the Carry On films and with the enduring BBC radio comedy programme The Navy Lark, Phillips also enjoyed a prominent role in several of the Doctor in the House film series. Younger viewers might also recognise him as being the voice of the Sorting Hat in the Harry Potter film franchise. Phillips continued to work well into his 90s, despite suffering 2 back-to-back strokes in 2014. Sadly, on the 7th of November 2022, Phillips lost his battle to a long, unspecified illness at the age of 98. He is survived by his 3rd wife, Zara Carr, and his 4 children, Caroline, Claudia, Andrew, and Roger. To pay our respects to this legendary British comic, we're going to be taking a loving look back at Leslie Phillips' life and career, and how his catchphrases have endured for decades. Leslie Phillips' early life. Leslie Samuel Phillips was born on the 20th of April 1924 in the town of Tottenham in North London. He was the 3rd child of Frederick Samuel Phillips and Cecilia Margaret Phillips. His mother was a homemaker, while his father worked at Glover & Main, a cookware manufacturer in Edmonton. In 1931, the Phillips family moved to Chingford, where Leslie attended Larkswood Primary School. Because of this, he would later describe himself as an Essex boy and a Cockney. Leslie's father died in 1935 at age 44. Throughout his life, he had suffered from a weak heart and edema, likely spurred on by the toxic working conditions of the factory that he was employed at. After his father's passing, upon his mother's insistence, Phillips was sent off to attend the Italia Conti Academy in Woking. While there, he attended drama and dance classes. He also studied elocution so that he could lose his thick Cockney accent. At the time, a regional accent such as that one was considered to be an impediment for any aspiring young actor. While at the Italia Conti Academy, Phillips took the time to refine his received pronunciation accent by socializing with people who, as he put it, sounded right. This involved mixing with people in theatrical circles and by spending time in the officers' mess during the Second World War. At 14, Phillips left school. The previous year, he had made his stage debut in a 1937 production of Peter Pan. For the 1938 and 1939 season, he was promoted to the more prominent role of John Napoleon Darling. Since his family had struggled financially following the death of his father, acting allowed Phillips to help support his mother and siblings. Phillips made his film debut in the 1938 romantic musical comedy Leslie from Lancashire. That same year, he had an uncredited appearance in the comedy Climbing High. In 1939, he enjoyed yet another uncredited role in The Mikado. Both of these films were produced by Pinewood Studios. In 1940, Phillips was cast in a minor role in Ealing Studios' The Proud Valley. In that film, he got the chance to work with one of his biggest heroes, Paul Robeson. During the early years of World War II, Phillips worked in the West End for H.M. Tennant and Binkie Beaumont with Theatre Royal Haymarket. Frequently, these shows would get interrupted by blaring air raid sirens, resulting in the theatre clearing out suddenly, with the audience heading for shelter in underground stations and cellars. In 1942, Phillips was called to serve in the British Army. In the Royal Artillery, he rose to the rank of Lance Bombardier. Since he had picked up his upper-class accent, he was selected for officer training over at Catterick Garrison and was duty commissioned as a second lieutenant in 1943. Phillips' anti-aircraft battery destroyed countless German V-1 flying bombs that were launched against the UK during his time in the service. He was transferred in 1944 to the Durham Light Infantry, but just before D-Day, he was declared unfit for duty after being diagnosed with a rare neurological condition that resulted in partial paralysis. Phillips' acting career began in dingy, rat-infested music halls and playhouses north of England, but during the 1950s, he rose to fame for playing humorous English stereotypes. He landed his first lead role in a TV series in the 1952 sitcom My Wife Jacqueline. Phillips became famous for his seductive voice and his signature catchphrases. I Say Ding Dong, which was originally uttered by his character Jack Bell in Carry On Nurse, and He-llo, which he would say with suggestive intonation. Phillips scored his first big break in cinema when he appeared opposite Gene Kelly in the 1957 musical Les Girls. While this film was his first critical success, he opted not to make the move to Hollywood, seeing as how he considered himself to be mainly a theatre actor. He also didn't want to become what he called the poor man's David Niven. He went on to appear in 3 of the early Carry On movies, Carry On Nurse and Carry On Teacher, which both came out in 1959, and Carry On Constable, which hit theatres in 1960. These films helped cement his reputation for playing slick, upper-class fools. After appearing in Carry On Constable, Phillips informed producer Peter Rogers that he didn't care to appear in any more Carry On films. That being said, he would later make one final Carry On appearance many years later in 1992's Carry On Columbus. Following the success of his Carry On roles, Phillips took over from Dirk Bogarde in a few installments of the Doctor film comedies. In the 1959 Italian comedy Ferdinando I, Re di Napoli, Phillips played an English journalist on a business trip in Naples. From 1959 to 1977, Phillips portrayed Sub-Lieutenant Phillips in the beloved radio comedy The Navy Lark, alongside Ronnie Barker and John Pertwee. The success of that serial led to his appearance in the film adaptation of the series in 1959, making him the only cast member of the radio program to do so. In 1982, Phillips married fellow British actress Angela Scowler. He then made the decision to move away from playing the same kind of lecherous smoothies with snappy catchphrases that had characterized the majority of his prior work. For the remainder of his career, Phillips remained very busy in both stage and television productions. Some of his most prominent roles included appearances in Steven Spielberg's 1987 epic coming-of-age war film Empire of the Sun, 1989's historical drama film Scandal, and the 2001 action-adventure flick Lara Croft Tomb Raider. Phillips also notably provided the voice for the Sorting Hat in the Harry Potter film franchise, appearing in 2001's Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, 2002's Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and 2011's Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Always having a soft spot for television, Phillips continued to appear in British sitcoms like Honey for Tea. He also made guest appearances in popular shows including The Bill, Midsummer Murders, and Holby City. Phillips played veteran actor Ian Hanif Qureshi's comedy-drama film Venus in 2006. That role earned him a BAFTA nomination for Best Supporting Actor. That same year, he published his autobiography, He-llo. In 1998, Phillips was honoured by being appointed Officer of the Order of the British Empire. In 2008, he was promoted to Commander of the OBE. In 2011, he teamed up with Jules Williams and Backdoor Productions to produce the Sky Arts talk show series Living the Life. That program was met with critical acclaim and ran for 3 seasons. Phillips' last major work was narrating the audiobook version of former racing driver John Bartlett's book Checkered Justice in 2012. Leslie Phillips' family life. Phillips was married 3 times. He exchanged marriage vows with his first wife, actress Penelope Bartley, in 1948. The couple went on to have 4 children. In 1962, Phillips struck up a relationship with actress Caroline Mortimer after separating from Bartley. He and Bartley officially divorced in 1965. After his relationship with Mortimer came to an end, he began a relationship with Australian actress He-llo. The two lived together for 3 years before breaking things off. In 1977, Phillips moved in with actress Angela Scowler. Although she was pregnant with another actor's child, Phillips raised her son as if he were his own. In 1981, Bartley died in a fire. Instead of attending her funeral, he chose to continue working in Australia, where he was at the time. Phillips would later admit that his family never fully forgave him for that decision. In 1982, he and Scowler finally got married. A decade later, in 1992, Scowler attempted to take her own life, but fortunately she wasn't successful. In 2001, however, she successfully ended her life after drinking a bottle of drain cleaner. She had been suffering from bowel cancer, and even though she was declared to be cancer-free, she was incredibly afraid that the cancer had returned. It's also worth noting that she had long suffered from bipolar disorder. In 2013, at the age of 89, Phillips married his 3rd and final wife, Zara Carr. At the age of 90, he suffered 2 strokes just 6 months apart. On the 7th of November 2022, as we already mentioned, Phillips died at the age of 98. Leslie Phillips will forever be associated with his trademark catchphrases and the iconic characters that he played on TV. But as we've just learned, he was also a World War II hero, father, husband, and author. All of Britain mourns his loss. He will continue to live on in our memories. While we're just about out of time for this video, we'd love to hear from you. How will you remember Leslie Phillips? And what kind of impact do you think he had on the British entertainment industry while he was alive? Let us know in the comments section down below. And as always, thanks for watching.